Well, thanks for the introduction. It's a real pleasure to present at this will be Legacy Minerals' inaugural Gold Coast Resource Rising Stars Conference. And it's a great opportunity to showcase what we consider to be a real leading emerging company in New South Wales and what is one of Australia's premier mining and exploration districts. So we're focused on gold and silver, and we've got a package of 9 projects that cover around 8,000 square kilometres. As mentioned, a key part of how we plan to deliver value for our shareholders is through these joint venture agreements, as well as our 100% owned projects. And just to talk about the jurisdiction in which we operate, New South Wales is home to Australia's largest gold mine, Cadia Ridgeway, that can produce on years up to 700,000 ounces per annum gold. So it's one of the world's best operational assets that's now residing in the world's largest gold miner, Newmont. New South Wales, sort of kicking off with the JV that we did in Newmont May last year, has seen a further $300 million worth of greenfields exploration joint ventures with all the major gold miners, so the Anglo Gold, Goldfields and Newmont. And it really just sort of demonstrates the value that these majors see in discoveries being made in New South Wales, particularly as a jurisdiction in a region that has seen gross under exploration compared to other saturated jurisdictions like Western Australia. So just Legacy Minerals at a glance, it's now 3 years since we IPO'd, and again we've had a very tight focus on keeping a good capital structure, and good stewards of capital is a fundamental core value that we see as not only a management team but as a shareholder team. That board of management led by Dr. David Carlin, who stepped off from Rex Minerals. It's made up of a very technical team of engineers and geologists, people that know how to make the discoveries and know how to develop projects. Have a look at our cash balance from March this year to June. You'll see a very, very conservative use of funds, coupled with a very aggressive exploration program. So to be talking about drilling six campaigns across 5 different projects in 12 months is a great achievement. And a lot of that is driven by the fact that we're able to secure this non-dilutive sources of funding to supplement our exploration programs to the tune of $28.3 million. So what's our strategy to deliver value for shareholders? It's really underpinned by these 3 core pillars, which is discovery, acquisitions and partnerships. So we see, like a lot of other juniors and explorers, value through making that discovery, which is funded through us raising on market, and coupled with that, we've maintained a strong focus on gold and copper throughout the last couple of years. Acquisitions. We look at low-cost acquisitions. We were able to build the entire Legacy Minerals portfolio for less than $400,000, and that represents some significant growth when you look at our market cap and just the size of the targets that we're tackling. And the last is partnerships. We're quite unique in our ability to secure Tier 1 quality partners, as well as partners including most recently S2 Resources, led by Dr. Mark Bennett. And that just really sort of demonstrates, if you want to look where are the miners putting their money, where are quality prospectors and explorers putting their money, and it really does sort of make Legacy stand out amongst the pack in that regard. So Thompson previously floated 10 years ago with a company called Thompson Resources. We picked this up very recently, and what we saw is really a target-rich terrain up here. What we're looking at is what Geoscience Australia call the most underexplored region in Australia, the Thompson Origin, and we've got numerous of these bullseye magnetic gravity features up there in what we consider to be a relatively new and emerging interpretation as an intrusion-related system up there. There's a very clear pathway to deliver success for our shareholders here, which is to develop and test these targets. And again, we're looking for large-scale ore bodies up here. So the 3 targets presented up there are all greater than 170 million tonnes, and they represent pretty phenomenally convincing high-conviction targets. Coincident gravity features. When they were drilled 10 years ago, none of the drilling intercepted the causative magnetic body, but importantly, provided us a strong proof of concept that we're looking at zones of alteration and mineralisation that put us in the money for what can be a large system up there. The analogue deposit that we're using to compare the discovery and the size of the prize up there is the Havieron district, an 8.4 million ounce discovery recently made by Greatland Gold at around 400 metres deep. Has a lot of coincident characteristics and features to what we're seeing at the Thompson, and again just reiterating the number of targets that we see in that jurisdiction, presenting not one or two discovery opportunities, but at least a dozen high conviction opportunities to make a big hit out there. So on to Drake. Drake is our second project that we talk about as our sort of 300% owned projects that we're taking forward quite aggressively. It's a legacy project. We picked it up off a company that was focused strongly on progressing the small-scale gold and silver operations up there. And what we really inherited in that project is a phenomenal data set, as well as an incredible amount of exploration expenditure. So if you were to look at projects or invest based off companies that are presenting a sunk value cost, what we see up there is an estimated $20 to $30 million in project expenditure, as well as another $20 million in sunk infrastructure capital on site. That was a $190,000 transaction. It does contain a resource under the exploration licence and applications of roughly about 630,000 ounces gold equivalent. However, what we see up there is not really a gold and copper system, gold and silver system, but is an untested large-scale copper project. Technical comparisons are made to overseas systems like Porgera, these big multi-million ounce Pacific Rim style systems. So we're here. What got us interested was these high grades of gold and silver. And we've got some drill core that shows this over at our booth, but 12 metres at 48 grams gold, 2,500 silver, including a high grade zone at 0.91 metres at 230 grams and 9,000 grams silver. So that's from 18 metres. Again, big, broad gold hits, 118 at 1.7, as well as a list of other fantastic hits, and importantly, the copper. So it hasn't been explored systematically for copper, and what we see there is not only the opportunity to make further copper discoveries and build on the resource. You can sort of see just what we see there being growth in the resource coupled with that discovery opportunity. That just contextualises, I guess, the limited drilling and the spaced pits, as well as the infill opportunity that we see through what we plan to do, which will be systematic exploration, really taking a holistic approach to what is a district that has been continuously mined for over 100 years, with mining ceasing up until the 1990s. So we see this as a fantastic brownfields development opportunity to really apply some modern geophysics and modern geochemistry to unpack this large copper system. So lastly, in our 100% owned projects is Black Range. Black Range is located about 65 kilometres from Ballura, which is being explored under a joint venture with Newmont. And we really picked up this project when we sort of started to realise that New South Wales had been underexplored for these types of systems. Newcrest were the last company to do any on-ground work there over 30 years ago. And when Legacy acquired it, we've been aggressive in conducting soil geochemistry, generating targets. It's a compelling case for a preserved epithermal system. And again, we're looking at a large-scale, extensively mineralised project area that presents numerous opportunities for discoveries and development. So now I'll run briefly through our joint venture projects. As I mentioned, we've got partners with Newmont, S2, Earth AI, and as of a couple of weeks ago, Helix Resources, who operate out of Cobar. And the reason why we sort of have these joint ventures and what they provide for our shareholders is a non-dilutive potential for value creation. And I just sort of put a list together of 5 companies that, through minor stakes in projects, have seen incredible share price increases. Greatland Gold, who had that Havieron project, within the space of really 2 years, saw their market cap grow from £58 million to £1.4 billion, purely based off a 30% ownership of a project with a major. So we've got 4 projects, and really, this is really cream to the work that we're doing on our 100% owned projects. Mark, through S2, announced some results today from a very deep and ambitious porphyry target. And what was really quite exciting about that drill hole is that towards the end of the hole, he's intercepted what looks to be a multi-phase, long-lived, intrusive system. So sitting 50k south of Cadia, this looks to be a new and emerging porphyry, unrecognised porphyry copper district. Just to our east is where Goldfields have signed a $70 million JV about 2 weeks ago. So we're in the right area there, and it's really exciting to be working with Mark, who's managing this project. They're drilling this out, and they're going to spend $6 million over the next 6 years. And importantly for Legacy Minerals is that our joint ventures don't end up with us getting diluted down to a mere 1 or 2% royalty. We get a 20% free loan carried interest in the project through to production. So that means at the conclusion of the joint venture, and it's the same deal terms with Newmont, is that Newmont or S2 will fund the resource drill out, they'll fund the capital infrastructure requirements that take it to get a project into production, and then we'll retain 20% interest of an operational asset. So for people familiar with the Lassonde curve and the difficulty it is to transition from a producer, a developer to a producer, that risk is essentially taken out and it's put onto our joint venture partners. So we get that free carried to production, and we repay that 20% out of operational cash flow. At Ballura, what we're seeing there is a large-scale epithermal system. We've sort of identified an outcropping vein field that's around 27 square kilometres in size. So you're talking about a globally large system, extensive silver and gold outcropping at surface, and we're really systematically working through that project with Newmont. That includes at least 3 rounds of drilling that will occur this year. We've got drill assays pending from some drilling completed recently, as well as some upcoming drilling that will come towards the end of the year. Earth AI are farming in under an exploration alliance at our Fontenoy project, and this is really quite an exciting, I guess, left field discovery for us. We're focused on gold and copper at the corporate Legacy Minerals level, and Earth AI have made a discovery of a unknown magmatic nickel copper sulfide system in New South Wales, previously unrecognised. The maiden drilling there, 30 metres at half a gram PGE, so mostly palladium, including a 10-metre zone at 1.2. And just to sort of, if you look at where they put that drill hole on the map and the subsequent soil geochemistry that they've done, have really highlighted that the best area of that project is yet to be tested, and that's the holes that are getting currently drilled at the moment. So that 34 metres at half a gram is been really done right on the margins of that soil anomaly. And they're now moved into that greater than 50 ppb zone. So we're pretty encouraged by what we see in that project, and I guess that the free carried upside. What's also quite exciting about that AI model that Earth AI present is that not only does it give Legacy upside through the drilling that they fund, but we're also exposed to cutting-edge artificial intelligence on the project at no cost to us. So it's a success-based system that Earth AI drill for a royalty, and should they be successful in defining a qualifying intercept on the project. And lastly, I'll talk about Cobar. This is a fairly recent deal that we've done with Helix. We see Helix as a great partner on the project. They're a prolific Cobar Basin explorer. We've held this ground for a number of years. It's highly prospective, downstrike of both the CSA and the Peak gold mines in a region that's seen some very, very active mergers and acquisitions in recent times. There's plans to get on the ground immediately with Helix to conduct work, and I'm expecting drilling to be imminent, and that's a part of the minimum conditions of the joint venture. A little bit different in this JV in that we've got an option to contribute or dilute at 3 stages throughout the joint venture. And certainly the upside we see here is that we're not exploring in the middle of nowhere. We're talking about exploration under the head frames of some pretty major operational assets like the CSA mine and the Peak gold mines. So in terms of our drilling and target generation catalysts, we've got results to come from Ballura, Glen Logan. The visuals were put out today by Mark, Ballura and Fontenoy before the end of the year. And then we're also doing target generation. So that'll bring forward a series of drill targets that we'll look to test early next year once we sort of complete these drill campaigns towards the end of this year. So unlike a lot of other juniors, we present a very strong continuum of news flow, and that means multiple share price catalysts that could come through those joint venture funded projects as well as through our own exploration and development. Lastly, just to sort of round off the investment highlights, we've got the right structure. So that's a competitive market cap, and it means room for growth, tight capital structure, $28 million in non-dilutive joint venture funding, and $3 million cash in bank at the end of June. The right people to deliver that success, experience across all facets of the mining and exploration space, We're good stewards of capital, and we've got a great track record of discovery, not only within legacy minerals, but also funding that as well. And the right ground, we're looking for high-grade gold, copper and silver. We're targeting tier 1 systems, and we're working on projects that present significant opportunities for not only discoveries, but resource growth. And importantly, as a junior, we're actively drilling and making sure our funds go into the ground. Come visit us. We're at the booth right near the entrance. We've got some drill core, and more than happy to talk further about the legacy mineral story. Thank you.